Asue Ighodaro, wey media gag patapata for Sterling Bank and come still double as the chairman for Allocation Investment Summit 2022, don tok say Edo State dey welcome investors unlike Kogi State when dey harass the few investors wey dey get comot for their state. Asue Ighodaro tok dis one for the Allocation 2022 Summit wey get the theme Edo's Transformation, Partnership, Resilience, Impact. Asue Ighodaro tok say to create the Edo of our dream, plenty work dey to do and dem dey dedicated to see am happen for Edo State. Ighodaro wey tok say Nigeria dey face plenty challenges and by 2050 Nigerians go reach 450 million pipo, come still tok say dis challenges dey put pressure for di state government like Edo State to look for ways to create more jobs, get more revenue and create better life for di pipo for di state.
All of us here, all of us in this room, all of us are major contributors to the Edo transformation project. And there's still so much work to be done, and we still have a very long way to go. Before we achieve the Edo state of our dreams, one thing is clear: all our hands are firmly on the plow. Today, our dear country, Nigeria, is plagued by numerous problems. On the economic front, whilst we experienced GDP figures in 2021 and in the first half of 2022 that increased slightly, our per capita income stood at just over $2,000. Our standard of living remains very poor, especially when compared to other emerging countries like South Africa, Egypt, and Indonesia. Sadly, our per capita income today is below our per capita income 40 years ago. And our standard of living and overall security then, 40 years ago, was much higher and much better than today. The factors responsible for the poor state of the economy are numerous: weak leadership, absence of strong political will, political inconsistencies, incompetent policy implementation, inefficient policy coordination, weak institutions, poor health services, poor education, absence of the rule of law, massive insecurities across the country, including food insecurities, macroeconomic instability, which includes high inflation, weak currency, high interest rate, low foreign reserves, decaying infrastructure, selfishness, corruption, and many others. Countries like Indonesia and Egypt, with lower per capita income than Nigeria in the 1980s, have since left us far behind. The World Bank estimates that even this year, 7 million more Nigerians will descend into abject poverty. That will be in addition to the 90 million that are already very poor. To make matters worse, we have been losing massive revenues to oil theft and leakages. Alarming quantities of our crude oil is being stolen every day. Data from OPEC shows that the average crude oil production in our country dropped to 1.09 million barrels. And if you talk to operators, they'll tell you it's even below 1 million barrels as per September 2022. And that is from 1.8 million barrels 3 years ago. For the first time ever in the history of this country, in the 62 years of our independence and even before, our debt servicing cost exceeds the money we earn by 19%. So we're paying more on our debt than the revenue we earn, by at least 19%. Our earnings during this period are totally insufficient to pay our debt. And to finance capital and recurrent expenditure, we have to borrow extensively, locally and internationally. No local investments anymore. The other day, we all saw the governor of Kogi trying to intimidate one of the few people that still invest. And I remember saying at a function that in Edo State, we welcome, we don't intimidate. We bring people in, we don't intimidate. So I don't understand governors that have business in their states and they intimidate. And it takes a strong-hearted human being to invest in Nigeria. But in Edo State, we're making it easy for people to invest. So even the faint-hearted can invest because we're in a good place. And we hope we will show a good example to those states that don't understand the importance of the investments that they get. And there are no foreign investments, none. The portfolio investors have dried up. So we are in a bad place as a country. Recently, parts of the country were ravaged by floods. Sadly, many people lost their lives and lost their properties. Farmers lost their crops. Traders lost their wares. Businesses were shut, schools were closed, and we saw the film footage of people paddling on normal roads to find their livelihood. The floods we have seen this year also point to a few things. We need to improve our emergency response system through the country. We need to. We lose too many lives to not being able to respond to emergencies quickly enough. We also need to provide safety nets for the truly poor. There are people that are poor against their own better desires. They want to work, they want to do things, but they're still poor. We need to provide safety nets for those people. And then we also start to need to think seriously. We need to start thinking seriously about how we reverse the damage caused by climate change. By the year 2050, we will be 450 million Nigerians, and we'll be the third most populous country in the world. How will we feed this population? How we will provide infrastructure for this population? Critically, how do we create jobs for these people, for 50 million people? And can we harness the benefits? Because people say if the population is large, it's a good economy. But the population can be large and it can be a bankruptly large population without skills. So are we going to be able to harness this population and be a positive for the world? Or are we going to continue the way we have been and be a problem to the world? And even more, how do we provide an environment that is safe, where we all walk around without fear at any time of the day or night, and where we believe that our businesses are safe? Are we going to be able to do all these things? We're 220 million people today, we can't do it. When we're 450, how will we do it? These questions and the answers to these questions will remain critical in the journey ahead and in the years to come. The issues raised by these questions create immense pressures on our subnational governments like Edo State to look for effective avenues of creating many more jobs, generating more revenue, and improving the living standards of those who inhabit their respective states. Our subnationals must also align to put tremendous pressure on the national government to agree on the right policies for the benefit of all Nigerians and to effectively implement these right policies. There must be a political will. The timing of this summit this year is very apt. It presents a great opportunity for us, the citizens of this great state, to determine how we shall navigate the headwinds we face, regardless of the sovereign issues we have.
Ighodaro talk say since the last Ighodaro summit, Edo State don make ogbonge progress and constantly yarn some of the achievements for electricity, education, civil service, tourism, agriculture, and other sectors. He constantly talk say federal government allocation don reduce Wella, and this one means say Edo need to do more to increase internally generated revenue and encourage private sector investment for the states.
Since our last summit, we have made considerable progress in Edo State. Permit me to use this opportunity to acknowledge the efforts of Mr. Governor in steering our state towards the path of sustainable development. His vision and leadership have led to the creation of a long-term vision for the state and the implementation of several initiatives and programs, all aimed at improving the life of our citizens. As a clear example, one of the key highlights of last year's summit was the Edo Development Plan 2021 to 2050, a blueprint for the development of our state. The plan clearly articulates a vision to industrialize Edo State and improve our competitiveness while delivering better social outcomes for our people. Also, since our summit last year, significant progress has been made in the development of the Benin Enterprise and Industrial Park, which will be equipped with state-of-the-art infrastructure, roads, power, water, drainage, fit for the 21st century. Just this year, and I thank you, just this year, Oshomo Power commissioned an additional 40 megawatt independent power plant to supply power to the industrial park and also to the local communities in Ipoba, Oha local government area. Not only will this project make Edo a major industrial hub, and please all you industrialists, come to Edo and come to our park. Not only will it make it a major industrial hub and an investment destination, it will also add immense social value to our state and our people. Many of the countries we celebrate today, China, South Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, Taiwan, are successful because they were able to industrialize and produce goods for their local markets and for exports. In the last 5 years, the overhaul and massive improvement, and that particular program truly makes me so happy. The massive improvement of our education system through the Edo Best program has been remarkable. Edo State has jumped from one of the worst educated states to become #1 in the country in 4 short years. It's a remarkable program that everybody in the world wants to copy, from the World Bank down to Rwanda. Mr. Governor and your team, well done. Through this program, Edo State has focused on delivering superior. And when I say superior, I mean truly superior. You need to go to our schools to see what I'm talking about. They work with computer, everybody. So, Edo State has developed this program to deliver superior learning outcomes to students by investing in the professional development of teachers, training and equipping them, providing quality assurance officers, developing state-owned schools in the remote areas especially, and then more importantly, sensitizing our parents to send us to school. Government has also created the Edo Jobs program and developed the creative and tourism sectors through the implementation of the Tourism Master Plan. We strongly believe that our young people must be given the opportunity to obtain relevant skills so they can produce and contribute to the economy of our states. Government has also re-established the functions of the agricultural extension worker and trained fit-for-purpose personnel, and has also created all palm production clusters for the benefit of our people. Our civil service is on its way to becoming the best civil service in Africa. The civil service is the engine of government and the custodian of institutional legacy. Within the last few years, Edo State has streamlined, retooled, and structured our MDAs to focus on effective service delivery. The number of our MDAs were reduced from 105 to 72 so that we could remove overlaps, administrative delays, and wastes. The state now implements an e-governance initiative, everything computerized. Governor won't answer you if not by computer. Workers in the state have been enrolled in our Edo Health Insurance Scheme, and the government has approved a minimum wage increase. Most importantly, the John Odiji Oyegun Public Service Academy, which was established for the effective training and retooling of our civil servants at all levels, continues to function efficiently, training and upscaling the capacity of our civil service. Government has also refurbished and upscaled the infrastructure facilities of our state judiciary and improved working conditions significantly. These initiatives will improve the morale and productivity of our public sector workers, which is critical. And they will be better able to deliver effective programs and initiatives and improve the lives of our citizens. Now, more than ever, many countries are looking inwards. This has been aggravated by the disruption in our global supply chains. COVID-19 pandemic, which hasn't fully gone away, and now the Russia and Ukraine war. So, there's a clear and present opportunity for Edo State, which is endowed with natural and human resources, to strategically position itself as a major production hub in the country, servicing markets within and outside Nigeria. What makes it even more important is that the size of our national cake is reducing. From January to August 2022, actual federal government revenue from oil proceeds dropped steeply. Accordingly, revenue allocation to our states from the federation account have dwindled significantly. This only means one thing. Edo State now needs to do much more to grow its internally generated revenue. We need to encourage the private sector to become more productive and to deepen their investment in Edo State. We need to create jobs, extend incentives to businesses, and implement policies to improve the business environment. We must make Edo State the most attractive place to do business in Africa. Let me conclude by highlighting the need to institutionalize the various policies, projects, and programs that the government has started across the state. We must entrench and stabilize public and private sector dialogue and interaction to allow for information sharing, identification, and formulation of the right policies, and the effective implementation of these policies. Such interactions must be frequent, whether formal or informal, and they must be constructive. Secondly, we must use legislation, regulation, and executive orders where necessary to back relevant government institutions and initiatives, and also to protect the investments of the private sector from undue political interference and arbitrary policy changes. The use of legislation is also important in ensuring transparency and monitoring the impacts of government's projects and programs. We must ensure that our public servants continue to be well exposed to best practices. They must be constantly trained and retrained and retooled, and they must be appropriately remunerated to ensure that they have the right contemporary skills to formulate and implement better policies. Your Excellency, sir, may I very respectfully propose that the John Odije Oyegun Public Service Academy be upscaled to high post-tertiary standards and affiliated to world institutions that are best in class. If we have the best civil service in Africa, we will have the best government in Africa. May I also, very respectfully, Your Excellency, admonish, sir, that your government continues the effective implementation at full throttle of your programs, your projects, your initiatives, your plans, your visions, and the recommendations we're going to make from this summit without distraction. Your Excellency, without distraction. You owe this to the people of this great state who have supported you through thick and thin, and who believe in you and trust you.
Omo Aluke Ajakaye, TMC TV News. Make una not forget your PVC na be your power. Not till I'm giving a politician on election day.